Mully Haugh, Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Brad Biggs, the football man of the Chicago Tribune, a long-time contributor to the program and a valued friend, and he joins us now on the Atturo Hotline, your all-weather tire, Atturo.com. Biggsy.
Morning, Brad.
Morning, boys. What's going on?
Well, you know what's happening. You're going to be there. You're going to be covering it. It's all about the end of the 8-game losing streak. It now becomes it's not, maybe they win a game. No? But, holiday miracle?
Yeah.
No?
It would be a relief to everyone in that building if they could snap the losing streak, but how are you going to do that against the Detroit Lions? And I get it that the Lions have got so many injuries. It looks like they've got their JV squad out there on defense, and we saw the Buffalo Bills hang 40-some-odd on them last week in a barn burner of a ball game. But reality is the Lions went out and scored more than 40 themselves, and so they've still got firepower on offense. They'll be without David Montgomery, but they can still move up and down the field. So it's going to be interesting, how plugged in is this Bears team going to be? Can Braxton Jones, the left tackle, return to play in Sunday's game? I thought they were competitive at Minnesota there until they just couldn't kind of close that gap. We talked about it earlier in the week. They had a chance to get within 6 midway through the third quarter, and that's a really good football team. But what really good football teams do, they find ways to put together efforts for 4 quarters, and that's been kind of lacking for the Bears.
Brad, what kinds of things will you be watching from the Lions offense specifically in terms of evaluating Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator who is a candidate, and as unorthodox as it might be, the Bears do have an opening. He is going to be at Soldier Field. Will there be any opportunity for anybody from the Bears front office or ownership group to extend a hand, shake hands, and say hello to Ben Johnson?
I mean, I can't imagine ownership's going to be in a position to do that. Ben Johnson's going to be focused on Sunday's game. They're battling for the 1 seed and a bye in the playoffs that they could use. I don't know that you're looking for anything special and unique from him in Sunday's game, like his resume that the offensive play calling for the last 2+ years, right? Like that's the resume. Specifically, what do the Lions need to do? I would obviously you want to maintain your ability to score and score often, right? It's the highest scoring offense in the league,
right? But not George McCaskey. But if you're Ryan Poles, do you seek him out before the game?
Do they have anyone in common? Like Ben Johnson went to coach at Boston College when he was done as a player at North Carolina. It was a little bit after Ryan Poles had played there. Do they have a commonality where maybe there's an opportunity to do that? Otherwise, I just think you're like going out of your way to do something that isn't necessarily super meaningful. The last thing Ryan Poles wants to do is appear like some guy who's trying to distract Ben Johnson from the task at hand on Sunday, I think.
Brad, do you believe that the Lions' multiple injuries are kind of a knockout blow for their Super Bowl dream?
I think it's going to make it really, really difficult. Yeah. I certainly wouldn't want to count them out, but it's going to be really difficult. Like you go all the way back to when Aiden Hutchinson was hurt. And you looked at that, and I think at the time you asked yourself the question: well, ultimately, could this do them in? Could this short circuit a Super Bowl trip? And that was a difficult question to ask. just with that one guy, and now they've got so many positions cleaned out. Like, what philosophically, and I don't know the answer to this. I wonder if the Lions look at things and say, hey, we got to try to find a way to protect our defense a little bit, like offensively with what they're doing. And of course, you're just going to want to keep scoring, but do they look at ways to for time of possession or anything at all? And they might just keep the foot on the gas at all times. But you watched that game last week, and when Dan Campbell onside kicks with
right.
What was it, 10 and a half, 12 minutes to go in the ball game, it was, your first reaction is, this is ludicrous, and your second reaction is, well, he has literally zero faith in his defense being able to slow down Josh Allen in Buffalo.
I'll concede that there's so much about concussions that we don't know and really can't relate to, and everyone is going to recover at a different rate. But, Brad, I guess I would consider myself a little surprised that Braxton Jones, after missing a game with a concussion, entering protocol, was a full participant in practice yesterday, which suggests that he will be available to play and start Sunday against the Lions. One game missing because of concussion, to me, seems fast in terms of recovery. What do you know about his situation, and what difference can he make?
Well, I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that he's definitely going to play on Sunday, although it did appear to be trending in the right direction yesterday. He hasn't cleared protocol yet. He was listed as a full participant in the practice estimation because it was just a walkthrough yesterday. So we're dealing with some kind of variables that we're filling in the blank here. Based on that practice estimation for him yesterday, I would imagine the goal and hope is that he is a full participant when they do practice today, and that if he responds well to that, he could clear protocol. We've seen guys miss only one game. I don't know that it's uncommon. Hopefully he's feeling better. Listen, I think it's important for him to be out there. I know it would be important for the team if Braxton Jones can participate in practice, and we'll have to see. But, this isn't a call by Braxton, and as you guys know, it's not a call by the team either. You've got to get third-party clearance for any of these head injuries, as it should be.
Yeah, Roschon Johnson is another guy who could be back, right? He's I think hopefully the things are trending the right direction for him. The guy that I just don't think we're going to see is Jaquan Brisker. Like, he's been out since the first week of October, but my point would just be if you got another running back, like it just looks, at least on paper, the Lions are down, I think, 4 of their top 5 linebackers, right? And you would think that if you could run the football, you could keep the clock burning, you could keep their offense, their best unit, off the field, and maybe you could kill some game, and maybe you could figure out a way of sort of manipulating the clock, running the ball, eating time. That's the pathway to victory. Not that there is one, but I'm just saying, if there were one, and I would be very just in connection with the idea of what we saw from Dan Campbell. I just wonder if he would go for them fourth down, if he would protect his defense from the Bears offense the way he did against Buffalo. And if he did that, maybe you get some sort of a break somehow.
Yeah, possibly, and they need to run the ball, and they know they need to run the ball, and I'll give them credit. They did a better job than I sure as heck expected Monday night against Minnesota. Talking about the second ranked run defense in the league going into that ball game. And you looked at them early in the game, and they were doing some unconventional things, right? They were lining up DJ Moore in the backfield and using him as a running back. They were getting the ball in DeAndre Swift's hands, and there wasn't a lot of production right away. But then you saw him pop a couple, 2-3 runs, and the numbers at the end of the night, 4.2 yards a carry, look a heck of a lot better than Swift had run against the Vikings the first time around, and some of these other teams that the Bears had encountered recently. So they've just got to stick to it and try to impose their will on Detroit, because I mean the Lions they're missing defensive linemen as well, guys in the secondary. Like it's an absolute mash unit. You know, they're going to be running up some doctor bills. Like it's crazy. It's just crazy what's happened to them. You know, usually you see a team that gets hit with injuries like that, and it's the explanation for why they got to the end of a 6-11 or 5-12 season, right? Like they all their horses were down. Like so, it's a credit to what they've been able to do to this point, and they get the Vikings are right there with them in the division, challenging for the division, and the Eagles in the mix as well for the top seed in the NFC. It's going to be fascinating these final 3 weeks to see how this unfolds with only one bye getting handed out.
Brad, back to Ben Johnson. Terrific job in ChicagoTribune.com of taking somewhat of a deep dive into his past and connecting some dots and talking to the right people who have been with Ben Johnson on staffs, players who have played for him like DeAndre Swift, and also coaches who have coached him like John Shoup, the former Bears offensive coordinator, whose paths intersected with his. Ben Johnson's at North Carolina. What did you come away with in terms of new information you might have learned about Ben Johnson in doing this story? And would you put him at the top of the list of the Bears' potential next head coaches?
Well, I think he's got to be on that list, and then you got to work from there. They're going to cast a wide net to start, but you know, I think you want to have 5-6 guys firmly on your list, and you attack it that way. Like I think the process can become jumbled when you've got 10, 12 candidates. But you know, the thing about Johnson is you obviously know he's smart, right? Because everybody has talked about that. You watch TV and they talk about how smart he is. But yeah, smart guy. Can he relate? And yes, he's very relatable. He's got interpersonal skills that people kind of highlighted, and he doesn't give off that smartest guy in the room vibe that I think could be such a big turnoff. And everybody probably knows what it's like to run into to that guy that walks into the room and believes they're the smartest person. Like that's not Ben, even though most rooms he walks into, he's probably the smartest guy in there. Like he got degrees in math and computer science at North Carolina, and he was a walk-on. He didn't have a scholarship. He had to get into school on his academic merit. That's a very challenging school. So and then they talk about his work ethic, right? So it's not just a smart guy who can, it comes easy for him. Like this guy's a grinder. He watches tape in a relentless manner. So I think finding out that at least and I got a pretty good wide cross section of folks that have, worked for him or with him, and that type of thing, or have hired him, and it's the intelligence combined with the creativity and the ability to connect, not just with coaches, but with, players as well.
This segment with Brad Biggs is sponsored by Estwing Professional Tools, made in the USA for 100 years, estwing.com. Is he your guy? I mean, if you were, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had to pick a guy, He's the hottest candidate among the offense.
He's red hot. Yeah, like he's. I think he's going to be smart about how he goes about this. I don't think he's going to take an interview with a team unless he identifies that team as like, yeah, I could see myself being the head coach there. I could see us packing up the family and moving there. And it's interesting because he's had opportunities here. He could have jumped out last year and taken one. Probably would have got one from Carolina 2 years ago if he had wanted, but he's kind of been selective. And there's going to be some other strong candidates. I don't think that, we talked about Brian Flores coming out of that Monday night game, and we shouldn't overlook Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, as a potential guy that's going to be on a lot of teams' lists at the end of the season as well. But from an offensive perspective, I think Johnson's at or near the top of the list.
All right, Brad. Now's the moment we've all been waiting for. Who are you picking Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned my lesson picking the Bears in some of these ball games, and that just didn't come out. So I'm thinking, Detroit 27, Bears 17, something along those lines. Hopefully the field's in pretty good condition. It has been really all season. I'm sure they're taking care of it with a little winter wonderland out there. But it's gonna be tough for the Bears to beat anybody here.
What do you think they're doing?
Globe.
I know, but it's a winter wonderland out there. Do you think the field's going to be compromised? It's supposed to be sunny and like 35, isn't it, on Sunday? It's going to be a beautiful winter day.
I don't know. Dave, are you in a cave or there's snow outside right now, buddy? Like, I'm just looking at
he's in a studio.
I'm in a studio. It's dark.
Brad, I want to talk briefly about Aaron Glenn because since Hutchinson went out, he's really blitzed quite a bit, right? We saw the Bears getting a little bit better Caleb getting a little bit better against the blitz. I don't know. Are you expecting a full-out blitz against Caleb in this game? Do you think that could lead to a play or two?
Yeah, he's been solid against pressure here. Caleb Williams has. No, I don't think you're going to see the Aaron Glenn as like a riverboat gambler. He'll probably pick a couple spots here and there, but I don't know that you're gonna. It's probably going to be a slow surface for the players. I don't think we'll see anything too overly aggressive by Detroit.